Hello everyone, my name is Lanray and I'm making this video for UFC 247. So I'm doing a preview for UFC 247, specifically John Jones versus Dominick Reyes, happening this weekend in the Toyota Center in Houston. First of all, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is my first one. I'm hoping to do more videos for previews. Um, so going into this fight, I think one of the first places I want to start is with, John Jones. Now, John Jones is the clear favorite to win and retain his title. I do think Dominick Reyes presents a couple of different problems for John Jones, and we'll see how he handles those. But, the first thing to cover in any John Jones fight is what John Jones are we going to get? So we know that John Jones, in my opinion, is the greatest MMA fighter ever. That's my opinion. I know some people have a problem with things like failed drug tests and general behavior. But for me, best fighter I've ever seen, especially when he was at his prime. But that ties back into the first one I was going to make is what John Jones are we going to get? In his last few fights, I would say maybe not the Gustafsson fight, but certainly in the Anthony Smith and more so in the Thiago fight, we saw John Jones that wasn't pedal to the metal. I felt, especially in the Thiago fight, I was almost worried because that was the first fight that went to a split decision for him. And it felt like that when I was watching. Now, John seemed to be in control of the fight, but it felt like he wasn't at 100%. And not injury wise necessarily, more just, the way he was fighting. So it'll be interesting to see what John Jones we get. He has been saying the right things. He had an interview with Ariel Hawani recently, and he's been saying a lot of the things you want to hear in terms of the way he's preparing for this fight, how seriously he takes Dominick Reyes going into this fight. So we'll see if that actually makes a difference. And I think we'll probably be able to tell some early on. So one of the first areas that I want to see is just the level of aggression that he shows. Usually, what John Jones does is in the first few rounds, first and second round primarily, he starts off pretty slow. So he tries to see what you're going to do. He throws a lot of fillers out there just to see how you're going to react. And he's extremely good at figuring you out in those early rounds. So I think the later this fight goes, the less chances that Dominick Reyes is going to win. If he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it early. Let me start with Reyes. So the most important thing, like I said, for me is what John Jones shows up. If John Jones is at his best, it doesn't matter how good Reyes has prepared or anything. It's not gonna be his night. But let me start with Reyes and then go to John Jones. So with Reyes, one of the first things is he has really good technical striking. So he's not extremely flashy, but he does a lot of really good things. He's very crisp, very sharp. He has a lot of there are a lot of things that you see Conor McGregor do that he also does well. He's an excellent striker, even moving backwards. He's been able to catch a lot of people. So a lot of people come in, try to land that lead or want to, and he's extremely good at missing and either finding a way out or getting them to miss and then counter striking. So he's extremely good. He has an extremely powerful left hand. Really good with the uppercuts. Really good with the hooks. And he also is really good at finishing. So if you watch his fights, some people, once they know they have you hurt, they are, just essentially emptying out the gas tank. Dominick Reyes doesn't do that. He's very precise, takes his time. Once he knows he has you hurt, he's setting more traps for you. He's circling you to that left hand, to that left leg. He's southpaw too. So a lot of times he's fighting against orthodox strikers. John Jones is a little bit of both. Like he can switch stance, primarily orthodox. So he will have that left high kick, that left calf kick that we saw him give him problems against Thiago Santos. Those will still be available for Dominick Reyes in this fight. I think in order for Dominick Reyes to win, like I said, he has to start really fast. He has to be very aggressive. Those first two rounds where Jones is trying to figure out what he wants to do, how he's, what Reyes' plans are, I think he has to start fast. This is one of the areas where I think the matchup is not the best for Dominick Reyes, is because in a lot of the fights I've seen, it's not to say that he's not active, but a lot of his best work happens when you're moving forward, when the other person is moving forward. He works a lot within those black lines of the edge of the, so like really right by um right by the cage for the octagon. That's where he does a lot of his best work, which is counterintuitive. Counterintuitive, because if you look at someone like, say, you watch a lot of Khabib fights, Khabib is doing a lot of his best work when his opponents are behind those lines. Dominick Reyes, that's where he wants to be. When you think you have him, that's where you need to be the most worried. He has really good, not necessarily takedown defense, but he's really good about getting up and getting up very quickly. I will say that a lot of the people that he's fought, far as wrestling is concerned, a lot of them they don't set up the takedown. A lot of them just go, like the Chris Weidman fight was a good example. He was on and in for those takedowns early and often. I don't think John doesn't do that. If he's going to take you down, he will set it up, and he's taking down better wrestlers. Like he took down Cormier, and it felt like he was taking him down a couple of times just to prove a point. So I think that will be available. It's up. We have to see if Reyes can handle it. So far, nobody's been able to keep him on the ground for long. But like I said, it's a different ballgame when you're talking about John Jones, because he won't just take you down. He will set it up. So, something will happen, you will strike, and then he will be able to get in for that takedown. So he won't just start trying to wrestle. He's pretty conservative, it seems. He's pretty conservative with his time in that regard, or with his energy when it comes to wrestling. So I do think Reyes has an opportunity to win this. One, if John Jones doesn't show up, and two, if he can start really early and catch John Jones with something. I think the longer the fight goes, it's not to say that Reyes doesn't carry that power into the later rounds. It's more just John will understand what he's dealing with, how he wants to fight him, and at that point, I think it becomes way harder for Reyes to be able to make this type of fight that he wants. I think if John can rely on his wrestling, I don't think John wants to stand up the whole way with Reyes in this fight. One of the things that he's done in the past that I want to see him go back to is that in that clinch fighting, where he did it against, like, I think it was Noguera. He's done in a few other ones, where he can then close the distance. He can get him in the clinch. He can get Reyes in the clinch, that is, get him up against the cage. And while he's still susceptible to those uppercuts, he can really land some deadly elbows, which John does. And then once Reyes gets concerned with those, he can then take him down and then begin to, like, work into the ground and pound. I suspect that, as with most Jones fights recently, this is going to be a 5 round fight, and he's probably going to outpoint him. So there's always that danger that even if he's dominating the fight, he could get cracked. John has an excellent chin, which is something people don't really talk about. He's been cracked in the past you know, with really good combinations, but has been able to withstand. But again, a lot of people, when you see, like, I go to the OSP fight, you see that last second punch that Reyes throws, and it's lights out, man. So you kind of want to stay away from that left hand. All in all, I would say if John shows up, it's his. Reyes does have a chance. Reyes does pose some problems, especially on the feet. If they keep going, he's very active. He doesn't get hit a lot. He's excellent at counter striking. He has a very powerful left hand. He likes the left hand. He also likes the left hook. He also likes the uppercut as well. So we'll see how it goes. My prediction is that John wins, and he wins in the third round, like ground and pound. I know that was in the 5 round, but this is just, again, everybody can have a different opinion. I'm going for third round win, ground and pound, Jon Jones. Thank you for watching this video. Once again, like and subscribe. I hope to make more of these. Thank you guys.